Hi guys, thanks once again for tuning in. I'm Suleiman Adaudu, and in today's episode we'll be learning how to create backgrounds using the gradient tool. So the first thing you have to do is to ensure that you create a new layer. So let me delete this one and then we'll create a new layer. So with the new layer, this is the layers panel. You simply come to this plus sign in a box icon and click on it. You have a new layer. So we'll have our new layer. Then we'll go for the gradient tool. You can do this by pressing the keyboard shortcut G or going to the tools panel. This is the gradient. So mind you, this is the gradient tool. Once you select it, the panel here changes into the gradient tools panel. So this sort of like our accessories you can use to change certain parts of the gradient. Now with this one, it's sort of like you have to make a setting and then you work with it. You don't have a preview. So if I click into this part, the gradient editor will pop up and then we'll have this bar here that allows us to change the color of our gradient and also the opacity. So below the bar there are these two cursors here. You can add more cursors by simply clicking around here. So for this particular one, I'll be using just the two cursors. If you want to delete one, you click and drag it outside. So with this one, the bottom ones control the color. This one, you see that the color is red, and this one you see that the color is blue. So with the red one here, if you want to change it, you can simply click into it by double clicking that particular icon, or you come to color. Once you select that particular color stop, you click into here and then you have the color picker menu pop up. So you can change the color to whatever color you like. So for this particular one, I'll just leave it as it is. So we'll have a red and blue gradient. Once you have this, you click on OK. Now the style is on linear. So what I mean by that is you just have the one color and another color in a linear format where one will smoothly move into the other. So you have one color and you have an intermediate in between them. So let me show you that. So if I click on this side and drag, you have a blue color, a red color, and then there's an intermediate. So it's linear here. They are all aligned in a straight line or in a particular angle. So you can also do it diagonally or whatever angle you want, depending on how you want the gradient to look like. So if I wanted to start from the bottom to the from the top to the bottom, you have something like this. So you now have the red at the bottom and the blue at the top. So if you want it to be the opposite, if you want red to be at the top, you simply do the opposite by dragging from the bottom. So you see that the red is now at the top. So let me go and change the gradient, the color of the gradient, and then we'll come back to it. So I'll change this one to green. You can always use whatever colors of your choice for the gradient, but make sure you use cohesive ones that are appealing to the eye. So we'll have something like this, maybe this green color. I think this is okay. Then the other one will be yellow here, something like this. So you can create another layer or you just drag over this. That's why it's destructive. So if I drag up to this point, you have this nice blend of yellow and green color. You can do it from the top to the bottom, and you have something like this, or from the bottom to the top, or diagonally, whatever angle you prefer. So now I was talking about these gradient styles here. So this one is linear, and this particular one here, it has its name, the radial gradient. So if I click on it, for this particular one, it will have one color cover all the canvas, and the other color will be in the middle part of the canvas, a particular portion of the canvas, which will be a smaller portion, and you can adjust that. So you realize that it's only when we create that we'll know how it looks like. That's why I say it has no preview. A preview in a sense that whatever you are doing, you are able to tell how it looks like before you even apply it. So this particular one, you don't have a preview. This particular way of creating backgrounds using the gradient tool. So let's work with the radial gradient and you see how it works. So if I click on this portion, where we clicked from will be where the smaller color will start from. Yeah, so you see that the yellow has occupied just a smaller part, and it will be in a form of a radial, like a radial shape, maybe something like this. If you want it to be the middle, it depends on how you drag it. How long you drag the gradient tool will determine how big it will be. So if I want it to be around this side too, I can bring it here and pull. If you want it to be too big too, you can do that by pulling it more. So we have something like this here. So these are other styles, but most of the times you'll be working with the linear and then the radial. You have diamond and whatnot. There's this one too here. So the angle gradient and whatnot. So we are done with this one, working with the gradient tool. So we'll be exploring other ways we can work with the gradient tool. Work with gradient to create backgrounds. So with this one, we'll be going for the quick adjustment layer. We don't need to create a new layer. So we'll go to the quick adjustment layer. You'll find it below the layer panel. So this particular one is the quick adjustment layer. So you click on it, you come to gradient. So you have your gradient fill. Now with the gradient fill, this is your menu, and here will be where you are, just like the other one, you change your colors and whatnot. It will bring up the gradient editor. So this is the gradient editor. You realize that our color stop here is what, blue, and the other side too is blue, but over here the opacity is transparent. It means that the other colors opacity, which I said the top ones are used for controlling the opacity. This one here controls the opacity of this one. You realize that it has 100%. That's why we can see the blue at the bottom. But now for this one is 0, so the transparency, you can't see the other blue, but it will simply fade into the intermediate here. So we'll ensure that we click on the opacity stop of this particular color here. Sorry. So we'll click on it and change the opacity to 100. So you realize that because it's now 100, everything has been filled up. So this time around we'll be using maybe a saturated blue and a darker blue. So we'll have our saturated blue here, then we'll go to this side and use dark blue here. So you realize that we have a dark portion of what, blue, and then a saturated part of the blue. So this part of it is bright and this part of it is dark. So once you are done doing these settings, if you are okay with the gradient, the color choice of your gradient, you click on OK. Now this is the gradient fill. It's more or less like the properties that popped up when we selected the gradient tool. So over here you can change the angle of it, and here you have a preview of whatever you are doing. So you realize that when we turn it, we can see how it goes and how it changes and the angle it will go to. Let's say if we want it to be the other part to be here, and now with this one, so let's say we have our gradient, the angle to be, let's say 90%, and we have the dark part of the blue color to be at the top and the brighter to be at the bottom. In order not to stress yourself by dragging this up to this part to switch the angle, and you have the darker part to be at the bottom, simply come and check reverse. So you realize that it has reversed it. The blue part has been, the dark blue portion has been switched up with the brighter part. So now with the style here, it allows you to change the gradient style. So if I click here, I have access to the other gradient styles like the radial. So now with the radial here, you realize that the lighter blue part is in the middle. You can switch that by using reverse once again. So this actually depends on how you like it. So let me go back and change maybe this to red and then dark red. So maybe here will be red, a brighter red, then we choose a darker part of red. Now you have this nice background here. So you can always, now if you feel that this particular part is not that big, you can always adjust that by using the scale. So with the scale, you open this part, then you increase it. So it what? So I like using this particular one, but then with the gradient tool, it's more or less like the banding is less in it, yeah, it's more smoother than this particular one. But with this one, if you master it enough, you'll be able to deal with banding, mitigate the banding effect of gradient. So banding is like when you have, there are two gradients here. You have a darker red and a what, a brighter red. So where the brighter red smoothens into the what, they can be like other shades of it, and when they become too prominent, you will not like it. It's like they are not smoothened out. So basically that's what banding is about. So if you want to reduce banding, you can use data. You make sure data is selected, it will reduce the banding. So we have something like this. We click on OK. So we'll go to the last way of what, using the gradient. So with that particular one, so you can do this by using a shape. So we'll go to the next step. We'll be using a gradient overlay to create the background. So with this one, you can either use a rectangle to cover your whole canvas. So we'll start with the rectangle here. So once you have your rectangle selected, you come to FX, gradient overlay. So now with the gradient overlay, similar to the other one, you just click here and change the colors to whatever ones. You realize I told you the last time initially that you can have multiple colors. You can have about as many as you want. So this one is 3. So you have 3 color gradient, and there's one in the as the intermediate. So once you get it, you have your the color of the gradient to be this particular color to be your preference. Then you click on OK once you are done. So you can basically use the gradient overlay to create your background instead of going to the first or the second. But most times I use the second option. This particular one is like a last resort, and it also offers you a preview. So thank you for tuning in, and let me know if you have any questions regarding the gradient and how to create backgrounds. And with this one, you can always explore in terms of the color you want to work with and ensure that it looks as nice as possible. And you can switch in between the styles, maybe linear style or radial style. Thanks very much, and we are out. And please subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to leave us a comment and your like, and post us on post notification right after subscribing. We are out.